All right, it is episode 83 of the Zenspath 4-Button Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and joining me for the first time in a while, because, she's been busy for whatever, Rachel.
Hello, here I am from
Hey.
Central Florida. I've returned. Limited time magic, as they say.
We have the temporary exclusive rights to her, which I'm sure that'll come out in a legal battle later.
Maybe, who knows?
And joining us also for returning once again, our friend Steven.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, it's been a fun week. I was kind of worried we wouldn't have much. I was kind of worried we wouldn't have much news to talk about this episode, and everyone's just like, "Here's a bunch of stuff." So yeah, buckle up for this one. We're gonna have some fun. But to start us off, Rachel, since you haven't been on in a while, what have you been up to? What you been playing? What you doing?
Well, of course, I'm playing the game that everybody's playing, but nobody likes. We'll just leave it at that. Jeremy, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, I had a fun discussion with Remy about the whole back and forth on that. I'm still not mentioning it, but yeah, no, it was a fun chat.
Yeah. I will say I am enjoying it, and I have not finished it, and I'm taking my time with it. But
nice.
Other than that, I've been doing some kind of cosplay prep and planning and stuff like that for some upcoming just meetups that I'm going to. I might go one of the days to MegaCon. I don't have a lineup or anything for what I'm going to wear because I'm probably only going to go one day. I have not decided yet. I have been spending a lot more time at the theme parks down here. I recently went to Busch Gardens with my mom, and I had a really good time with doing that. Went on
Busch Gardens.
all of the roller coasters except Tigris and Scorpion, because Scorpion was down and Tigris was temporarily delayed at the time we were by it, and I just didn't feel like waiting. And of course, I've been to the other ones recently as well. And of course, I've been doing a lot of reading. I am trying to my goal for this year is to kind of knock down my TBR list quite a bit if I can. So I am reading the Dan Shambles Zombie PI series by Kevin J. Anderson. You might recognize the name if you're a Dune fan, because he co-authors any of the new-ish Dune books with the son of the original author. So
spice.
Yes. So if you're into that, then his Dan Shamble books are very good, and a lot of his other books are good too. He's got a great sense of humor when it comes to writing, and he's a fun dude. I've met him a few times at a con. I haven't seen him in a few years, so obviously I don't know if there's been any personality changes, but I enjoy his books.
Are you still the same?
He's still the same person. Hey, people change. That's just how it is sometimes. But
authors are when they're done after a convention, they just put them back in storage and they break them out when they need them later.
You are
keep them in condition.
You are not wrong. You really aren't. Like sometimes there'll be authors that go on the convention circuit for a long time, and then you don't see them for 3 years.
I mean, look, they let Stephen King out and he got hit by a car. They're like, we're not doing this again.
Yeah,
put him back up.
He just
put up your authors before you break them.
Yeah, he's like, we're gonna just keep you in your house now, and he's like, yeah, well, okay. But I will say that I don't know what I'm going to play once I finish the game that I'm currently playing, because obviously I have to wait for Tears of the Kingdom to come out, and that's a little bit away. It's a little bit.
You can play Metroid.
No. Maybe I'll just fool around on the the Game Boy Advance essentially emulator on Switch. So I'll fool around on there with that because I get it for free. So not really for free. I play, we all pay for the membership, but it's cool that they have all that on there. So but that's what I've been doing.
Nice. Well, Steven, do you want to tell us what you've been up to?
Sure. Well, I just started my sabbatical, so that
nice.
What am I doing list should grow with time. Right now, I'm just trying to kind of put a pin on it on certain games, but then other ones where I'm trying to go through just because they're ones that I have finished, but then they come out with more stuff like Power Wash Simulator first did. Hey, you gotta clean up Tomb Raider's mess. All right, so I cleaned her castle, I cleaned her training course and her vehicles, and then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, Midgar needs your help. So now I'm cleaning the Seventh Heaven.
I need to break down and just buy this damn game.
I'm cleaning their bikes.
When I saw this announcement, I said it to all my friends, and I was like, "This looks silly." And if you stream it, please message me directly because I'm just gonna sit there and just stare.
I'm not even kidding.
What is happening?
The first moment I saw that post, I swore it was like a hard drive article. I thought it was a joke.
Yeah, it seemed like it would be, and then like their official account started retweeting it and like, yeah, this is a thing, and I'm like, y'all really needed like just a little distraction for the the Final Fantasy VII homeboys that are just like frothing at the mouth, waiting for the next best trailer, and of course 16. And I was like,
just cleaning a bunch of monster guts off the Buster Sword.
About it though is if you're not speed running the game, the game is essentially just its own like therapy session because
it's calming.
So zen-like that you just start having a conversation with friends. I make sure to play with people because it's up to 6 players co-op, but I just play with one, and we'll just have conversations that we would usually just have if maybe we were eating out. But then we'll just like, hey, so what's been going on? Like kind of like this, but we're just cleaning Midgard.
I love games like that. I love games like that. Like that's how I kind of whenever I would play No Man's Sky with other people,
so good.
I would just, we just, dick around on a planet and just chit chat with each other.
It's just
that's why I love that game called Unpacking. That's literally what you do, but you find out a story of the person's life while you're unpacking. And I was just like, I don't know, there's something just therapeutic about just unpacking stuff and fitting it on shelves and not having to go out and buy shelves. They're all just there already.
All just there. Yeah.
I'm afraid if I play that one right now, I've got 2 friends that are moving house again in a short period of time or moving from another state. If I even mention that game, they're probably going to have just a freak out, like no more.
I was playing that while I was moving to this house last year or so. So my wife was just like, "Are you playing Unpacking while unpacking?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah. Movingception.
Oh God.
But the other one, because I kind of like to test kind of different ways of playing co-op, is the 4-game series now called We Were Here. We're still struggling. Chris and I are playing it because the way it's done is you do not play it in any kind of party chat. When you start up the game, you can speak to each other via a one-way walkie-talkie that's push to talk.
You guys mentioned
is that kind of like a puzzle escape room type thing?
It definitely is, because sometimes he has to look up the puzzle and tell me what to do. Other times I do it. However, they ramp it up by having the other player like slowly drown because it's filled with water, freeze to death. Like he had to read me chess moves. He had to read me chess moves off of a board while the snow and ice was like impeding my vision, and I was slowly freezing to death.
Good Lord.
So some friends of mine played that with the Crit Show. They played that on stream and they went through a couple of games, and I was so stressed out watching it. Like I love puzzle and mystery games and point and click stuff, and I'm like this my anxiety was like no, and yet I'm really good at escape rooms, but I don't like the game setting.
Yeah, it's just because this one, instead of just a timer, there's no timer. It's just impending doom. The current stage we're having issues with, because apparently we didn't have our sound up high enough, was we have to like crank all these levers to put on a play on a stage, and he has to tell me what comes next before this giant marionette comes up to him and kills him. Which he says is already freaky. Because it reminds him of like the angels from Doctor Who. He keeps looking away. He looks back, and it's still there, but it's closer, and it's bothering him. So,
oh God,
it's fascinating.
That's terrifying. This game just sounds all over the place. Can you play it by yourself, or is it one of those games that has to be co-op?
Has to be co-op.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I have to get friends then.
First, acquire friends. Second, play games. Third, profit.
Exactly.
Like, it allows you to just join like a random
one,
but good luck trying to like
communicate with them,
coordinate with a stranger, and just be like, do this, not do this.
Especially if they don't speak English.
Right. Quick question. Ask both of you. Do you just randomly play with people, or do you hate that and only play with your friends? Because I don't like just playing with random people. I'd rather know
friends
you.
only, and if it's a team game, my team is my friends, and then I'll play with randos.
So for me, this I don't have any other concept of this game other than what you have said, of course, and my friends playing it. I've never actually played the game, but in general, depends on the game. If I'm playing Mario Kart, I will kick anybody's butt. I'm fine.
That's
Don't matter who
there's
you
no
are.
communication anyways in Mario Kart.
If it's, say, Destiny, because there's, stuff when it does require some cooperation and some not really conversation, but just like kind of communicating in a way where like, okay, you go that way, I go this way. I'll play with strangers on that because, it's kind of fun. Like
you have a set goal.
Yeah. You have a goal and you know where you're going.
Right.
But like, other than that, I'd play with my friends. Like I refuse to play with strangers playing Sea of Thieves. Forget it.
Really? I need to get back into that. I keep saying that, but I never.
Yeah, I played with friends and it was an amazing experience, but then I've played with somebody who just joined and he made sure to just make the game a living hell.
And some people have fun doing that. That's what I hate. But like I don't mind playing with strangers if like say it's a multiplayer game. If I've got like one friend and then we're joined by other people, fine, we'll figure it out. We'll do something. It's usually kind of funny if we're doing Fortnite and there's like two of us and we go into 4-player. We're just like, well, those two are dead. All right, we're just gonna wander off and keep going. Do what we got to do. But I've always preferred playing with people I know. I don't know. That's just how I am.
I think overall I agree.
Xbox Live broke me as a kid when we were younger. Not as a kid.
I got so used to, I played Destiny with my fire team. Like they were my friends. My friends Amber, Davey, Kasoka, and David. And one of them is not our friend anymore. But
damn.
Yeah. But I got so used to like, every evening I'd play for a couple of hours, or sometimes even if we weren't playing Destiny, we'd all get in a party chat, play completely different things, and just conversate with each other. And that has kind of broken me a little bit because I'll sit down to play a game and I have to be talking to somebody 90% of the time.
It's a means of communication. I mean, it's how we relax. It's how we enjoy things.
And then like when we're on like cutscenes or something like that, that's why I do like a 90% of the time I'll do like a party chat headset that only has one headphone because I want to be able to hear the game audio. And sometimes when it's all in your ears and they start talking, it's very distracting. So we kind of like worked out a system. Some of my friends and I have been like, okay, hey, there's a cutscene. Everyone shut up. So yeah.
You all shushy.
Like hush your mouth or shut your cake hole.
One thing I do like about that is I have a headset adapter for these Astros that I can just either go all chat or I can go all game. So if I want to hear something and shut everybody up, I'll just mute myself and move the dial over.
That's all. It's also about for a moment. Kind of PS5. Xbox doesn't seem to have it, but PS5, you can just click on the player and mute them from your chat.
Oh yeah, I haven't quite mastered all of the bells and whistles, so I'm a little old school with that. I'm just like, okay, everyone shut up.
Yeah, Xbox will let you do that. You can mute individuals and all that fun stuff too.
So,
all right. Yeah. Well, I will go through what I've been doing really quick, and then we'll move on to our lovely bit of news. Everyone seems to be getting messages tonight. I'm getting messages. I'm hearing Rachel getting messages.
Oh yeah, I turned off the thing.
It happens. I'm just finding it funny. All right. So, anybody else played Kirby's Return to Dreamland yet?
I've heard good things, but I haven't played it. Oh,
it's so good. Jennifer's already beat it. She beat it in less than 2 days.
I thought she was going to beat it in like 24 hours. Like that is like my...
If I had made her go to bed, she probably would.
So that is like anytime I see Kirby, I'm like, oh, Jen's gonna just blow through this.
Did you see the picture I posted of her that day?
Her and all of her like just decked out. Yeah,
Kirby
I
shirt,
did.
Kirby hat.
Like literally, if she had one more article of Kirby like clothing, I was expecting it to just to become Kirby. Like,
yeah, the only thing she didn't have was a pair of Kirby pants. She has socks, a shirt, hats, all kinds of stuff.
Probably just make those. Just get pink pants and then get the 2 eyes.
That'd just be weird. Be hilarious though. Make it where like the mouth is the waist, so it's almost like mouthful mode pants.
I'm trying to think how
awkward.
one
I
could
think there's a reason why they
Kirby.
don't sell that.
That's fantastic. So yeah, Jennifer's already beat this. She wants to play through it and record. So I might actually do like a little short video just of her, let her go and talk. And that is going to be the most energetic, crazy thing. And she's excited for it. But myself playing it, the game's actually really good. I've been having fun with it. I multiplayer it, played it with Jennifer some. And it kind of caught me by surprise. I actually thought it would take her longer to get through everything. And she's just like, no, I've already beat the game. I'm already in the after game. I was like, I just bought you this. Like, what the hell?
This is why I've set myself a strict don't buy first party unless it's $40 for Nintendo. Because
I've bought it twice. I don't care. I mean, it's not that the game is bad. She just has been nonstop. She loves it, and she'll play it forever. Like, she still goes back and plays the other Kirby games all the time.
For me, I'm like, just look behind me. I have a backlog.
Yeah, we have every Kirby game, but I do have to give my stamp of approval. I wouldn't say it's like game of the year level, but it's a lot of fun, especially for co-op. And it's absolutely gorgeous looking. Just cute little details they've added in where they've upped the animation, where like even things like when Kirby gets the whip and he has the cowboy hat, he actually has like a little saunter to him as he walks. It's not just the normal Kirby one. They kind of
little touches like that.
Yeah, they kind of cowboyed him up.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, my favorite is always his swimming animation. Just the way he kind of bobs around is just adorable. So definitely try that. I've been playing more Vampire Survivor because I think I have an addiction problem.
Welcome.
Oh God, I think the worst part is not only that I'm playing it, but I'm playing it on a Steam Deck. So I did this to myself.
Now. I got every achievement, every unlock.
I'm working on it.
So I'm free. And then they did that little update that added in like the Sonic the Hedgehog homage. And I finished that.
Yeah. Good Lord. So I've been playing a lot of that, and I will probably continue to play it. I'm just going to mention it every time now. The other thing I've been watching is Star Trek Picard Season 3 started recently. We're now 3 episodes in, and I'm actually really liking it. This is the final season, kind of a final chapter for the next generation because they brought back the entire cast. But I'm liking how it's going so far. I don't know if either of you actually watched this or not.
The wife and I are going to start it fresh.
It's good. I liked it.
At some point. I don't know if she wants to finish all the Star Wars content first.
Okay. Yeah. I did start The Mandalorian Season 3 because that started up as well.
Yeah, we got Mandalorian, really, but we also need to, my wife and I need to catch up on the Bad Batch and Endor, so
I need to finish the Clone Wars so I can get to Bad Batch. So, yeah. All right. Well, we will jump into our stories because we've got a bunch to talk about. Now I'm hearing cats and keyboards.
Yeah, my keyboard is very clicky clacky. I love it, but it's loud no matter what I do.
And my cat Luna's just telling she's either bored or hungry or both.
This is gonna be the episode of weird noises. It's great because now my pharmacy's trying to call me and my watch rings.
It's the partial ASMR episode,
right? If you're watching this, put on headphones. Enjoy. All right. So first up, we're going to talk about the Pokemon Presents. That was February 27th of this lovely year. And to start this off, was anybody else creeped the hell out by that animatronic Pikachu that just had the deadest eyes? Like I
want one. I want one. Like,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I meant to watch it today on lunch, but I got very distracted, so I did not watch it. So
you're gonna sleep okay then.
I might watch it tomorrow while I'm going through the car wash because I have to get my car washed.
This thing feels like a Nintendo edition of Five Nights at Freddy's. Like it is
not Freddy Fazbear bad.
That is pretty bad for animatronics.
It's not even Chuck E. Cheese like level bad. I thought it was nice.
That is slightly yikes on bikes, but we'll see. Yeah. I'm very hard to scare, like because I'm
not
spooky.
Scary. It's just somehow they took a cartoon character and shoved it into the uncanny valley as an animatronic because it's just like when it blinks and talks.
It's essentially if Detective Pikachu was a toy. It's fine.
God, I've seen Teddy Ruxpin work better than this. That ran out a cassette tape and it looked better.
I enjoyed it. I was just wondering if there was pre-order information to buy him.
God, if they ever sell it, oh, have that in the background, its head just spinning while you're talking. Oh man. So most of the stuff was kind of not anything I was really big into. If you guys are, please let me know and we'll talk about it. But they had a little bit of information about the Pokemon World Championships for this year. Good for you, play cards. Pokemon Trading Card Game Classics editions coming out, so they're kind of throwback design to the original sets.
I have something to say about that,
they're expensive.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
Two things. They're pulling a Wizards of the Coast, even though the Wizards of the Coast doesn't even touch Pokemon anymore. But they're basically pulling Wizards of the Coast in the fact that you can buy this set, but you can never put it with your regular cards because the backing is different. And obviously, since they're the original classic, they're probably been banned. So it's like this is only a literal set piece.
It's a collector's thing. That's it.
You either keep it sealed for 40 years or you play it and be like, that was fun. Too bad we can't mix cards.
Just why?
Because I thought about this as I was doom scrolling through TikTok earlier today. And there was a video that came up of someone opening like one of those like OG packs, and he got like 4 dark Pokemon cards, and one of them was like a foiled dark Charizard, and this card is worth $4,000 to $5,000. He like he full on hyperventilated as he's putting it in a little sleeve and then a hard plastic one, and then just set it down. And he was like live on stream, and he was like doing this number, like what and I was sitting here like, yeah, those cards are worth a lot of money. And me thinking back about how I had like a foil Gyarados, and I have no idea where it is, and I don't know what it's worth. And if I still had it, I was like, wow, what would that be worth? And thinking about how everybody in my class had tons of Pokemon cards, and I remember seeing these things and how much they're worth now.
Yeah, and I gave where they are. Mine, I gave most of mine to friends who played Pokemon. I gave like a whole like giant shipping box of energy because I used to work for Wizards of the Coast when they were a retail store, and of course Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't gonna go anywhere. I hate this stuff. And I was like, I want to play the game. So I was like, I don't need this.
So one of my friends back home, his name's Jason, he like when he was going through his townhouse when this was before he and his wife got married, and they were, they're going to be moving in together, and he brought out this big old binder. And he was like, I don't play Magic anymore, Rachel. What do I do with these? And I'm like, I don't play Magic. And I said, but you need to get those appraised. And he was like, why? And he's like, are they worth something now? And I go, yes. He made enough money off this appraisal and sale and thing that he did to pay for their entire reception.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a good use of it.
I know, honestly, if you have your cards or if your friends have cards and they're like, I literally like, go and get it appraised. I know it takes time, and and if there's one thing none of us have, it's enough time in our day. But good God, they say money doesn't buy happiness, but it does help.
And I'm the guy that played the Star Trek collectible card game, so nobody wants those, but I love looking through them because I have so many of them.
I just want to get my hands on the set of the old franchise that shall not be named trading cards. There's a lot. I
still have some of those actually.
I love those. Anytime I've been wanting to, like, if I come across them at like a thrift store, I'm keeping an eye out for them because I think they're cool and they've got really neat art on them. I'm in the process of collecting all the old Mattel board games that they did.
Oh wow!
So there's actually quite a few on Mercari that are like a very good price. Like they should be priced more than they are, but people have like priced it down just trying to sell it because nobody wants to buy them due to So
yeah. All right. So next up, this one kind of caught me by surprise, and I'm a little interested just because I really love stop motion animation. Pokemon Concierge coming to Netflix, of all places, as a series. But I love just the little animation of the Psyduck waddling on the sand. I was like, it's
They
stop
say what
motion. I'm
it's
in.
about? Because it's like, oh, is this what, a Pokemon
Yeah.
hotel?
So
Kinda.
the biggest thing they said was a lot of people had stories that they read in the Pokemon mangas that they fell in love with, and they loved to see them in animated forms. But kind of like Tales of the Jedi, you can't just like make an episodic thing out of it. So they said Pokemon Concierge, but then Pokemon Company being the Pokemon Company, they said, what can we do to make it a little bit different from everything else we have? And they said stop motion, which I think is awesome.
I love stop motion. I'm
but
a
even
huge
though I
fan of
don't
it.
read the mangas, I love that it's kind of just like tales that have been adapted from the paperback.
I think that's a good way to tell stories that maybe we never got to hear, because there's a lot of stuff that it's, like you said, in the manga that never ended up in the anime, and then there's also probably stuff that is from Japan that we don't even know about. So
I just want I like the little short stories, and like I said, I will endlessly watch stop motion stuff. Like,
and
I grew up on like Wallace and Gromit and all that.
It's an art form. Like it's art for sure. I mean, all animation is art, but this is like,
I love watching how it's made.
This is so tedious. Like, this is probably one of the most tedious pieces of like visual media that you can do to produce animation, and it takes a long time. So the fact that they're doing this is a little shocking, but also at the same time, it's like, wow, you're employing like people to do this who love this stuff. So,
I didn't get a chance to look at it enough to see if this is stop motion computer generated, which still has a nice look to it for how it's animated, or if it's actual, like they're working with the models, which would be cool. Now, my favorite trend,
or if they're doing a combination of the two.
Probably. I mean, they're going to use digital to enhance it nowadays, but like my favorite trend for years now that movies and shows have been doing, where they'll do a time lapse where you just see like a character walking and you see the actual animator from a wider view time lapse doing the motions, like blurring with it. And like, it shows how much involvement is made in doing these things. So, Steven, any thoughts on that one or on
no? I'm looking forward to it to see how it pans out, or if the whole series is going to be stop motion, or if that was just to entice us to get in there.
Oh, I'd be so pissed if that was the only one. I'd be like, you lied to me.
So, and hopefully Netflix doesn't cancel it right away like they do everything else.
I was about to say, by next episode, we'll be announcing the cancellation before it ever even comes out. Next up, they talked about a couple of their mobile games with some updates: Pokemon Unite, Pokemon Cafe Remix, and then they were talking about Pokemon Masters EX. And then this kind of caught me by surprise. Pokemon Sleep actually exists. It's coming out.
As somebody who wanted the Wii Sleep or whatever they were going to call it with the sensor that went on your finger from day one,
yes,
it's nice that something else took its place. And I love the ideas behind it that they're doing.
It's really funny because literally the day before this, like I know, like days before this, because this was on
February 27th.
Monday?
Yeah,
this was on Monday. Okay, Friday, before I'd even left work, two of my coworkers were like, "Hey, you think they're going to announce Pokemon Sleep?" And they said
it's become a joke,
completely as a joke.
Oh yeah,
and we're on. Like, I come in from outside, I was doing something, I'm walking in the office, and I walk by their cubicle, and they were like, I was joking. Oh my God, I was joking. And everyone's reactions were like that. Because
it's like, I was listening to, what was it, Nintendo Voice Chat, the IGN Nintendo podcast.
Yeah.
And I was hearing the episode that came out before the Direct, that last one that we got, and they were joking like, oh, I bet we'll get a Metroid remaster, and they're talking about some other games, and they're just like, holy crap, that all happened.
Yeah, I along those same lines, I saw a guy watching the Direct, and he just casually mentioned, he's like, I don't want that. What about a new Fantasy Life? And that's literally the next thing they mentioned.
Yes.
And he was looking at his hands. He's like, wait, I could have asked for anything. And I asked for Fantasy Life, but this is good.
I could have asked for anything, and this is what I got.
I'll take it. Whatever. Yeah, it's so they got the Pokemon Go Plus Plus accessory that's announced. You can use this app with your phone, but you can get the Plus Plus accessory, which is like $55, and you can use that to both use it for Pokemon Go for catching stuff or hitting stops as you go along, or having it in your bed so you're not having to use your phone each time as it tracks your sleep based on that. Which
don't leave out the best part now.
Yeah, go ahead. What's the best part?
The best part is Pikachu will sing you to sleep with Pokemon Go Plus Plus, and he will also wake you up as well with a little song. And they showed him like singing the tune whenever you got a new Pokemon.
So
yep,
that is adorable. I am so glad that people love Pokemon Go and find it fun. I personally don't. I played it for a few weeks when it first came out. I'm like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah, my wife's still obsessed, but I'm just going to use that plus plus for the Pikachu side of things.
There's no real story. What's the point?
I have fun with it when I'm traveling because I'm on the road a lot and going different places, and it's fun to kind of find spots and try and, like if I'm sitting in the airport, I'm trying to take over some of the gyms that are there, and
Yeah, but there's Pikmin Bloom now.
It's exercise.
I don't quite see the point of it. I don't know. Like, what's its end game? I don't know. So
get your butt out of the house.
Took over my Pokemon Go plays anyway, because at least that one I can just come back and send out Pikmin to go get stuff that they find around. And I keep along the lines of Pokemon Go where you get like the postcard type things. But at least that one I can just say go get that. I don't have to try to find that location or anything like that.
My problem is I would go out there with the Pikmin Bloom, and I'm like in Nevada, and I send it to go get something, and I'm like, oh, I got to fly back the next day, and then I get home, and it's like, your Pikmin will be back in like 3 weeks. I was like, oh god, I forgot it's got to walk all the way back here.
This Pikmin gets back, and it's like, you did this to me.
Just come back, and they're just like all like Mad Max, and just like that'd be great.
This is one swole Pikmin.
I sent out a white Pikmin and it came back a big old purple one.
Oh, how did it even happen?
Right. But. So I got the Pokemon Go Plus watch, or like little pendant thing, and I would use that for a while, but now I just kind of have it as a display piece.
It never worked, and I hated it because of that. I'd sit there and I would get to like my next destination, and they'll be like, "You're out of Pokeballs." I'm like, "How many did you throw when I had it on?" I was like, "I hate this thing."
That was a problem. Yes.
I just think back to the Pokewalker and how charming that was, and
I still have those.
Yeah, I don't.
Those things go for some money now. Like, holy crap!
They do.
Might have to sell them extra ones.
If I found one just randomly somewhere, I'd be like, okay, it doesn't work, but I know someone who can fix it. You go.
I got a couple of the actual Pokewalkers. I've got both versions of the Pikachu. The original yellow one that was in black and white, and then the one that was for gold and silver that actually had a little bit of a color screen, and you could do some stuff for the Game Boy Color and interact with it. They all still work, and they will talk if you don't shut them up.
I still use my Wii Fit U meter once in a while just because I can connect it to Wii Fit U, and it's like, you took so many steps that you just climbed the Eiffel Tower. And I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, cool. I wish that would have worked with a phone app. That would have been so much better.
But this next thing, I do have some kind of things to say about it, even though I didn't play the game, but I'm just like, I've seen stuff from it.
Well, go ahead and say it. Go for it.
Okay. So, the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet stuff.
Yes.
So, new Terra raids, I don't know what that means. There's some Pokemon Go integration, whatever, because I don't care about Pokemon Go. Pokemon Home integration. Listen, this is not. I'm getting to the part. We can go back and talk about it. Pokemon Home integration. Finally, I guess we've been waiting for that.
It's taken them a while. I was like, come on, guys, like get this ready before you put the games out.
They're adding a bunch of features, but the game has some real stability issues. The problem I have with it and why I haven't bought it is the same reason I didn't buy Sword and Shield. It looks empty. The charm is not there.
I didn't have any problem with that. Like I've seen Pokemon everywhere and run around and
well, the latest patch they said in order for it to run better, we're lessening the amount of lessening the amount of Pokemon you can find on the field.
Yeah.
When you get to the end of the presentation, I have an interesting tidbit that's been going around the web.
Okay.
Week. I will say that like the DLC stuff that they announced, the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero, like the clothes look cute, and there's like a whole new, thing. Like there's like a new school or something, and I was like, oh, that looks kind of cute. But there's 2 parts and it's coming this year. Teal Mask is in fall, and then just a short while later in winter, which I guess that could mean fall could mean anywhere from end of August to beginning of November, and winter could mean anywhere from mid-October to January 1st. So,
well, technically December 31st because it says winter 2023.
Technically, but I say January 1st because I don't trust a release date that quick after each other. I don't.
I mean, for DLC, I kind of can. I can see it. It's just kind of weird.
It's Nintendo, so that could mean anything. So
we got more than just a title. So we're doing better than Prime 4.
That is very true. But like I said, I haven't bought it yet because the game feels empty to me, and I haven't had fun playing a Pokemon game since like Black and White and Black and White 2.
Okay.
I don't know. Like it feels like the same thing over and over again.
I think that's why my wife and I enjoyed playing Hey You Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Because while it tried to kind of shoehorn some Pokemon Go stuff in there, it was just refreshing to like not always be battling.
Yeah,
it's just about just collecting and kind of getting around the towns. So it was a welcome break. And I know with this other one's it's like open world, but I was like, how do you release these games next to Arceus?
And, I had fun with Arceus.
And it's like night and day. It's like, how do you do stuff that's so well liked in Arceus and then just not have it in the mainline games? I know, different developers probably.
Well, they had
how also you're getting a Pokemon game like every year churned out. But
it was 2 in 1 year. That's what killed me. Like they should have picked one, had it for that year, and then had the other one coming out this year. That way they could have given them the time and attention they needed to work it all out.
I will repeat what I said at lunch the other day is Game Freak, I love them, but I don't think that they were ready to develop full-scale 3D Pokemon stuff, because as much as I love the XD Gale of Darkness and Pokemon Coliseum, and all that, as much as I love that, and they're great, and they don't look the best, like the models are weird, but that's part of their charm. Whereas the models for the most part look great, but the gameplay to me feels lacking. So it's kind of one or the other. Like they had to sacrifice something to make one thing look good. I don't think that they were ready to go from 2D to then they kind of went where it was partially like the backgrounds were more 3-dimensional, but I think
part of the problem is
they went too fast, too hard.
Yeah, so, they have an issue kind of refining everything. Crap, I had the word and I just forgot it.
Well, I think
brain why.
I think what would have been nice before, and all I can hear is Joey in my head. All I can hear is Joey in my head screaming. I think they should have stayed a little bit more with the 2.5D for a little bit longer before trying to make the full scale jump into the the 3D thing.
I think they did okay with it. I think they had an optimization issue. That's what I was trying to say before.
Well, I mean, what was it? Sun and Moon? That was the one that was on the island, wasn't it?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
And that one was pretty good. But they also had like a smaller surface area to work with, whereas there wasn't like places where they felt that they had to not focus on. Like it still felt kind of normal to them. But I just think if they were going to do an open world, because that's where they wanted to go with it, they wanted to do open world. I think they could have like scaled it back just a little bit where yes, it was open, but it wasn't like, it didn't need that Breath of the Wild type scale, which they were trying to get to. I think the bar was set too high. Is what
I think they could have done it. Like I said, they just needed to optimize what they had a little better and just kind of work on that, because it is doable. We've seen games that are doing so much more on the Switch just fine.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I get really tired of people just like, oh, it's because the Switch is so weak. I'm like, dude, have you seen
the Switch? Yeah, like there's
an interesting story with that, because speaking of optimization,
is this your story you were gonna thing you were gonna mention? Cool.
So, prefacing last podcast when we talked about the Zelda Lego leaks, how do we know they're real? What happens?
Yep, takedown notices. Yep.
So, this week, this developer or programmer, obviously under a pseudonym. I'm not saying it's the most trustworthy site, but what happens next is kind of what adds credence to it.
Oh, that's right.
This,
I heard something about this.
Programmer appears on 4chan, and he starts going very in depth about part 2 of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Okay.
Not in spoiler territory, but he says this is what we're working on. He's mentioned certain areas being fixed. He almost goes through his own patch notes, but then he mentions something very interesting that says right after part 2 comes out, it will be followed by a graphical upgrade patch for the next system. And everybody was just like, oh, he's just talking for clout. But then today, he's no longer to be found. He's been ninja'd, as they'd say, by the Nintendo ninjas. He's been pulled into
Nintendo's are Pokemon companies, because that is a separate entity for part of it.
Either or. Basically, just
either way, he's down.
Like Pokemon could have said one thing, but then Nintendo could have just tied him up or something. But he just disappeared from existence after saying that. So now everybody's really interested that all these other leaks and these rumors like that have been coming out for like Nintendo Direct,
legal Avengers, they're coming together.
You know, whenever those would come out spoiling Nintendo Directs or attempting to, they would all be just left there. And whether they were right, it was kind of just like a betting game. But this person it all got taken down.
I just had a horrible joke pop in my head there. This is going to be so dad joke, but it's like, getting the lawyers from Nintendo and from Pokemon Company and so forth coming together, like I said, the legal Avengers to take down the Norse god Leaky. Moving on.
So speaking of lawyers,
Rachel just rolled her eyes. Right?
Speaking of lawyers, do you know how Kirby got his name?
Nintendo's lawyer, Jack Kirby, or not actually Jack Kirby, but what was his first name?
He was doing such a good job. They were like, we're going to name somebody after you.
Yeah, so it's going to be this weird pink ball that apparently kills gods. If you ever look into the Kirby story, it gets creepy. All right, so that was the Pokemon Direct. We'll move on to the next little bit here. Kind of a weird update that Valve is getting into. I think Valve is kind of getting a little big for the britches for part of this, but I'm just going to
I glanced through this earlier, and the more I read, the more I went, what?
So Valve, and the best way I can put this, Valve may be putting rules in place that could kill stuff like Humble Bundle or some of the charities that people do with this. But Valve is updating the rules on studios requesting keys for their games. So what this means, developers get up to 5,000 default release keys at launch to share with Steam users or to use for other digital stores and platforms. So if they make a game, they release it on Steam, they get only 5,000 copies they can put between any other company, Humble Bundle, G2G, whatever the other one, G2G or whatever the other ones are. And then before they could ask for more of them. So there's no longer a guarantee that Valve will provide any keys beyond that limit of 5,000 and will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis. So if Valve thinks you're not doing enough with their store, they could stop you from putting it on anything else. Beta key packages or beta package keys, usually used for small beta tests and so forth, pre-launch access for press, like if you want to get out there and have people talk about your game and so forth, is now being limited to only 2,500 keys. People are Valve's trying to push them more towards the Steam playtest feature, which I'm not familiar with that, so I can't go into detail on the goods or bad of it. I just know, for a lot of them, they have a key, they'll talk to a publisher like IGN or some of the other ones, and be like, hey, we want, take a look at the game. Here's a code for it. So Valve now states about selling games in other stores, quote, "It is important that you don't give Steam customers a worse deal than Steam key purchasers." So they're saying with this, you can't put a game on sale somewhere else or offer it for less money without it being given for Valve. But they're doing this for stuff, like I said, Humble Bundle, or right now there's even a charity going for the earthquakes, which is using Steam keys. So if this takes effect, that would not be available unless instead of going to the charity, they gave the same low cost to people on Steam, which would not go towards the charity and just cost them money.
Okay, so wait. One. Okay, so what they can't make these types of demands unless they have some kind of exclusivity contract. Like that doesn't make sense to me at all. Like if it's on all platforms, like what you're gonna pull my game from me putting it the price the way I want it to with another thing. Okay, fine, pull my game. Like,
well, that's like saying though that I want to sell this cheaper in this mom and pop store, so Walmart now no longer sells it. Yeah, you got to sell it in the mom and pop store, but your actual sales from Walmart, this Valve and Steam is the largest market.
But it's
I'm not saying it's fair. It's annoying.
It's like eventually it's going to get to a point where people are going to be driven away from Steam. Some developers probably are going to be driven away from Steam because that feels very controlling. So,
yeah, well, here's the quote that really gets it. If you request an extreme number of keys and you are not offering Steam customers a comparable deal, or if your sold business is selling Steam keys and not offering value to Steam customers, your request may be denied and you may lose the privilege to request keys. So developers could be blocked from requesting keys for their own games if they participate in things like Humble Bundle or charity sales without offering the same cost to regular Steam users that don't go towards the cost.
So the answer to this is you would then, how, here's an example. How, okay, I'm going to use something that you guys might not even know about. So there's a company out there called Her Interactive. They make the Nancy Drew games. They sell them on Steam. They sold them on GOG. They probably sell them on the Epic Games launcher. I don't know. I haven't looked. But they also sell them directly from their website with their own thing that you can download.
Right.
So I guess if people want to do that, they're just going to have to give them keys to download them directly from their website instead of running it on a launcher, and it just gets downloaded directly to your computer instead of running it through the Steam launcher. Like that's going to be the only solution if certain devs want to do it through Humble Bundle.
Humble Bundle.
I can't talk. I'm tired. It's a Friday night.
Steven, what were you going to say?
This is just deja vu all over again, as they would say. And the biggest parallel I can see here is this is just D&D. This is Hasbro and D&D. They're making all these demands, and I give it probably before St. Patrick's Day that they're going to be like, we heard you.
Never mind.
And we won't do this. Thank you for your input, customers. Because they're probably really pissed that Epic Game Store just gives away games almost every week.
Oh, yeah. I check every week like clockwork for something interesting. I haven't checked today. I'm going to.
Every big game that comes out, they're like, it's on Steam and Epic Games. So they're obviously competition, and they're hating that Epic Games is being able to just give stuff away. So now they're like, you're giving them a good deal. So we're going to make rules now that we're going to see if people will abide by them because we're bigger than them, or if we're going to
Steam,
fall.
why don't you give a free game every now and then?
Yeah,
Put your money where your mouth is, you dummies.
Yeah,
well, that came up during the whole legal fight.
Like Figment.
Yeah, well, that came up in the whole legal fight between Epic and Apple when they were having that problem, and the amount of money they're spending to get these deals. Like Epic is just pumping out bleeding money to try and build up that market value right now. So, I mean, eventually I think it's going to have to end at some point, but they're paying all this money to get temporary exclusivity or complete exclusivity or giving away free games because that's the only way they can try and compete with the size of stuff like, well, for one case, the Apple Store, but for this, against Valve, because Steam has kind of grown into this, main thing. Like I bought my Steam Deck and it's nice, but then I'm also realizing, okay, I can only play Steam games on it. I have all these other older PC games or stuff on other markets or like all the ones I get from Xbox that don't work on there without complete modification and don't work right.
There is, however, to counteract that point, there is not necessarily just an emulator, but if you go to the desktop mode of Steam Deck, there's actually things that I've used that connects it to good old games, so you can play your good old games on a Steam Deck.
Oh, okay.
So
I'll have to talk to you about that one.
There's workarounds. So yes, it sucks that it's not just the ability right out of the box, but
I just want to play Star Trek Legacy and both of my Transformers, War for Cybertron and Fall for Cybertron. That's all I want, man. Let me play that on a Steam Deck.
But you look at all those other sites, and if it's not sales, it's the free giveaways.
Mm-hmm.
Good old games will be like all day, all week. This game is free. Epic Games will be like, hey, it's another week. It's another extravaganza. This is all free. And if you redeem it, we'll also give you a coupon on your next purchase, even though you didn't buy anything with any money. And then Steam's like, well, we have our winter sale. And everybody's like, that's nice. I think they got bad numbers. And now they're like, what can we do to force higher numbers?
Yeah, I'm thinking their legal and marketing are not talking to the actual other people, because this just does not seem like something they would do. But
next
hey,
podcast, you're going to be covering how they've just rescinded all this.
Yeah,
it's like, well, we predicted it. I will say, Epic's free game today is Rise of Industry, and the next one, starting on March 9th, is Call of the Sea, which I've been wanting to play.
Ooh, that's a good game.
Yeah, it is. I've heard good things about it, and I watched some friends play some of it.
See, I wish I could play those on my Steam Deck.
They haven't gotten Epic Games Store to work on Steam Deck. That would be interesting.
You can if you put Windows on there, but they haven't got the drivers yet. So I
don't want to go that far. I want somebody to just make a program that engineers it.
I'd be fine with it if they could get it to work properly when you do that. Then it would solve all my issues, because it's supposed to be a computer. Let me act like a computer. All right, so from one disappointment of Valve, we will go to a nice little fun surprise. Super Mario Brothers movie has been moved up 2 days and will now debut on April 5th. Because apparently they were originally going to have it on Good Friday, and we're like, this is probably not a good idea. Not many people are going to go. So we're getting the movie early, so you can go and see.
Not a fan of a Wednesday.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of the middle of the week. But just as a little side note, I'd found a bunch of these Super Mario Brothers movie toys today. So there's Luigi. If you're listening to this, I'm showing toys because, I'm a 43-year-old
man. Your local GameStop or Target.
Yeah. I found them at GameStop. I haven't found anything at Target yet, but I need to look. And of course, here's Mario. And then there's Peach.
Yeah, if you get the van or you get the Mushroom Kingdom, it's kind of like a Polly Pocket type deal. It's kind of cool.
If that van would play the Mario theme, the rap, I would just have that thing on my desk at all times just to play that over and over again.
It should make a downloadable ringtone.
Right. So yeah, if you want to go watch the Super Mario Brothers movie, you can now watch it 2 days earlier. So, yay. All right. This next one, this is one, Rachel, I thought you might be interested in as well. Luminous Productions, the makers of Forspoken, are being folded into Square Enix. They are closing the studio and bringing them in for other work, which means Forspoken's probably not going to be getting a sequel now. Sadly, some people like it, some people don't. But I mean, either way,
I'm interested in playing Forspoken, and it might be a game that I get to bide my time between now and Tears of the Kingdom. Literally, someone said to me that was playing it and enjoying it, because it is an enjoyable game. Yes, it has problems. And I know what the origin of Luminous Productions is. It's the Final Fantasy 15 people. Mm-hmm. I know this. That's my game, baby. But literally, everyone's like, Rachel, why does Forspoken remind me of Final Fantasy 15? I said, 1, same production studio. 2, I recognize about 60 to 70% of those assets. That shrub, Final Fantasy 15. That ground texture, also Final Fantasy 15. That fire animation, also Final Fantasy 15. A lot of it is literally they used a lot of the same assets, which is smart developmental wise.
I'm about to say, as a side note, I never fault if they're going to reuse an asset, because you don't have to recreate everything every time.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel. Like, there's no harm in reusing assets. It saves you time on development. Like, it's not lazy. It's just good business. But they didn't buy them out. They have they have taken them back into the fold to put them on other projects, like, you know, Final Fantasy 16 or whatever's coming after it, or Nomura will probably eat some of them and put them on Kingdom Hearts. Like, they're just gonna they're not gonna go away. They're just gonna be reused. So,
well, the team will be under Square Enix as of May 1st, but they're still working on a technical patch for Forspoken. That's supposed
and
to come
whatever
out.
is already currently planned. So,
yeah, that's what they said was going to be the only thing they're going to put out as that patch. So I don't think there's going to be like any DLC or anything added to it as well. It's just going to be kind of, we're done, technical patch, and then move on to the next.
You're saying
thing.
It's a final Forspoken.
Yes, I am.
Yep. But
good dad joke.
It looks like a pretty game, and you can collect a bunch of floating cats. Like, I mean, whatever. So
yeah, my thing is, I was talking with a friend of the show, and friend of mine, Carol Franceschi, who did the review for the game, and I know she had some issues with it because I worked with her on helping with the Gotham Knights review because it had a multiplayer aspect of it, so she got me to help do that part of it. She tried it for this one, but it didn't have a multiplayer, so no go on that one for me. But
yeah,
we'll see.
Well,
all right. So next up, we'll talk about Sony's State of Play, which I'm not going to lie, this didn't really wow many people. Like, it was the quietest. Like, it came and went. And people just like, oh, there's a State of Play, and I'm just going, there was. I keep up with this stuff.
There were two things that got the people buzzing, but the rest was forgotten.
I didn't even know that it happened, and I am a Sony gal. Like, literally, someone asked me, Rachel, did you watch the Sony State of Play? And I went, no. And then they said, well, I don't think they really showed anything that would really, like, you know, pique your interest other than, oh, they're doing something for Destiny 2. And I was like, oh, I don't even really play that anymore. And then they said, oh, that you don't? I said, no. And they said, oh, well, look, this is what they're doing. And I was like, I'm sorry. There's pirates and like gothic stuff in it now. Okay. Wow. Like, I don't know. Like, I've literally been so consumed by work and the other game that I'm playing that I'm just not paying attention to anything else because I'm having fun. So
yeah, this was kind of like, it's kind of funny seeing like the Nintendo Directs and stuff like that, like the huge events that those have become. And then Sony does a State of Play or Microsoft has theirs, and everyone's just kind of like, okay. Like, what? It's always been kind of a weird dichotomy of that to me.
You know, I always found that spring can sometimes be a bit of a lull when it comes to game announcements and things. Video conferences, announcement video, like things like this, because like they want to be able to, you know, keep that momentum going. And
well, they spread it out more now because they're not doing, none of the big three are doing E3 anymore. Like, they're not even going to be at the show floors for any of them. So
because it's so expensive. It's so expensive
it's millions of dollars.
Now. It's and they don't make as much money off of it as they used to, because even though cons are very popular now, these kind of events are not as much anymore because people are just going to get their news about it online. There's no reason for them to go anymore.
Yep.
Like, there isn't any reason. It's halfway across the country for most people.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive into what they actually have at the State of Play. So this is not in the actual order. I was kind of looking at some articles and I went back and watched some of the videos to see some of this so I could at least have something to say with it. They did an extended look at Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League from Rocksteady Games, which I am still incredibly sad that this is the last thing Kevin Conroy got to do, because it looked interesting. I wanted to play it. Like, it looks pretty, but then I saw the gameplay and I'm like, what is this Destiny crap going on?
Interesting.
The cutscenes got me. Like,
okay, there you go.
Yeah, that's I liked that.
Again, much like Hi-Fi Rush, please prove me wrong in terms of gameplay, but Suicide Squad Kill the Arkham franchise from Rocksteady, it's just, when you watch the gameplay, there's just so much Fortnite. Why is everybody floating? Why is somebody like King Shark shooting? Why is Captain Boomerang using a gun?
Yeah.
If this is one level, perfect.
That's the whole
this is
game.
Just one level, perfect. But if it's the whole game, what are you doing?
Yeah,
it's a live service game.
That's what kills me too. I'm like, watching this, the gameplay did not fit any of it, because what kills me, all right, Gotham Knights, I enjoyed. It was not perfect. It had flaws, but it felt more like an actual extension of the Arkham series, but it wasn't. Did not take place in that universe. This does, and does not feel like it fits to it at all, which drives me nuts. I'm like, just, if you want to make the game, make it its own thing. Do not weigh down the Arkham series with this,
if this seems like it should be free. It should be free.
Yeah. It especially the way they're pushing for, unlocks and all this other stuff. You can't just make a live action Borderlands and slap Batman on it, That's not going to work. Like, we don't care about all the weapon unlocks and things you can get. Like, it looks good, but like, why were they fighting a what was it? A big cannon with, looked like it had a growth on the back of it. They were floating in the air shooting at
purple canker sores. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's like, DC cold sores is what we're fighting.
And I'm like, this is so just out of touch with all like the weird zombies are fighting and all the futuristic guns. And I was just like, this is Suicide Saints Row. I was like, what is this?
DC has really crazy and good villains that they could have used for this that would make sense and be weird and out there, Just why? So yeah, this the video of this did not help how I felt about it. I just realized my camera's been low this whole time. Hey, I dropped the light in front of it. Anyways,
surprise.
I think when it's $10, I'll put it right next to Avengers as something that's no longer supported.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so next up we had 3 new Street Fighter 6 characters shown, 2 returning and 1 new. We had Zangief, which Russian and fights the bears. Looked good. They brought back his old wrestling moves, which is hilarious. Cammy's back with a very British jacket. I don't know why she's like, I know she's a British character, but it's like just Union Jack, and they're changing up her design some, but they still had a lot of those, like, here's her butt camera angles. They just love doing that with her.
But she had her move from the animated series, which everybody animated movie that everybody like geeked out on. So that was a nice nod too.
There you go. And then they did show a new character called Lily, which is a tiny lady with weapons, which I believe you pointed out they've connected to T-Hawk as well.
Yep.
See, my cool. brain, anytime I see T-Hawk, autocorrects it to Tony Hawk. What is this? What does he have to do with any of this?
Do a kickflip.
Can you imagine put Tony Hawk in Street Fighter?
I mean, what was it?
She does slide around in all her moves. So
yeah.
Who knows?
Maybe she is.
There are the 2 skateboarder characters from Street Fighter. I'm trying to remember, was it Jin and no?
Yun and Yang.
Yun and Yang, thank you. Because I actually like using those. If they brought them back, that would be kind of a funny skin swap out. Have like Tony Hawk and like Berquist or something. Just
I'll be the first to point out, though, especially with Zangief as most apparent, is the game doesn't just look prettier. You can see in Zangief's movements if you watch the trailer. It's very body fluidity. Like now, when he's kicking with his giant legs, you kind of see the ripples go down. And the fact that
jiggled, I was like, what?
The fact that he's not made of like Russian steel anymore, that he jiggles. I was like, that's kind of nice to know that, like, when you kick somebody with that much force, like something's got to move.
It does look really good. I'm hoping they don't make the mistakes they did with Street Fighter V and make it this massive DLC hole that you could never actually get a complete version of the game. You had to keep buying stuff. And like, I think that kind of killed off a lot of it. I know in the competitive scene, a lot of people were just like, nope, we're not touching this. We're just kind of staying away from it. I do like that they're bringing back some of the touches from Street Fighter 4 with kind of the ink style that shows up. It's not constant, but you would see it in a lot of like when the freeze frame or special moves, it would kind of pop up, and I really enjoy that.
Yeah, I think all these people are going to be immediately available because they're part of the world tour.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to go to these countries and kind of like learn moves from them and get mentored by them. So they're basically just covering all the countries now, and the season passes will be the other characters that may or may not have been in that art leak. But
I'm just hoping they eventually release a complete set. Like I like that for what was it for Street Fighter 4? They had I think 3 editions, and because arcade.
Now that I didn't like because all they kept doing was they kept just changing the art on the disc and giving you a code for the rest. And
no, mine's complete. Each of the releases were complete at their time. I think the only thing that they added after Ultimate, which I have, was some like a couple bonus skins. Like
I think
just a
now
few of
you
those,
had to get the Champion Edition to get everything, didn't you? You couldn't get the other editions. The other editions had codes because at least on Steam you didn't get everything.
I'll have to see because I'm talking about the 360 version when they released it. Because that one's even still backwards compatible, so I just slap it on my Xbox and all the stuff is there, and I didn't buy any DLC. So I miss when they would do that. Like I get adding the characters and changing things, that's fine.
Well, I think I'm talking about 5. 4. Yeah, 4 was complete.
5 you couldn't ever do. That's
4
what I
was
hated.
Complete. 5 was piecemealed with different cover arts.
Yes,
I apologize. Yeah. No, 4 was fine. 4 gave you everything on disc. 5 was just like, let's try something new that everybody will hate.
Rachel, I don't know if you're much of a Street Fighter person.
I don't play fighting games. I don't play fighting games at all.
Fair enough.
I play Super Smash Brothers, but that's about it.
And I still say it's a fighting game. All right, Baldur's Gate 3 is coming August 31st. Looks very Baldur's Gatey. Lots of magic.
Resident Evil
4. Yeah, way. Resident Evil 4 getting a Mercenaries mode and an upcoming demo, which they still haven't announced anything for yet. I went and looked. Resident Evil 4 is looking good. I still kind of wish this wasn't the next one they were remaking. I want Code Veronica, damn it. But I don't know. I know one of the newer mechanics is like you can kind of parry a bunch of stuff. They were showing like knives and pitchforks being thrown at them and just keep parrying things.
Not only that, but the fight with Kowser, yeah, is no longer just a quick time event. You actually have control over the whole battle.
Yeah, they apparently removed all the quick time events. Which...
Yeah, they said there is none in the whole game. So there's no. I was like, how is that boulder going to get pushed on you now? But we'll see.
Right, El Gigante looks weird,
but they're actually putting back in the cut content. They're expanding upon, like, say, the minecart scene.
Mm-hmm.
They've got characters that are now, like, you know, it's not spoiling anything, but they got characters that are now alive in later parts of the game. So it's, I don't know, it's kind of it's just like another I'm gonna reboot of 4.
Clear here.
Yeah,
I'm still gonna really get it. Yeah, there's a couple of the characters, like I know they had some weird designs on the original versions that look just downright different now. It's like, what did they do to you guys? So I don't know. I need to see it more in action because these are screenshots that they're sent out, but yeah, we'll see. Bungie shows Destiny's 2 Lightfall before it released on February 28th. So of course that's already available now.
I don't play that game anymore.
I haven't played it in a while.
I wish I did, because there's like friends of mine that are like, you know, talking all about Destiny, and I'm like, oh, should I start playing again? And then they don't answer me, and I'm like, I guess that's a no. Maybe they just don't want to play with me.
Yeah, sorry, we were playing Destiny.
Intrusive thoughts.
5 PSVR 2 games have been shown, which, does anybody else even realize the PSVR 2 came out? Like, apparently it's released, and I've seen almost nothing about it.
Yes, because it's still more than the system costs. So
yeah, I'm gonna wait until someone.
My issue with what the games they showed, except for like one of them, was here's a gun. Next game, here's a gun. Next game, here's a gun. I was like, come on, guys, do something different. Skipping ahead a little bit with the list, though, I thoroughly recommend Before Your Eyes, whether you play it on Steam, on your regular laptop or computer with a webcam attached, or you play it in PSVR 2. It is a very emotional experience. I've seen streamers just break down playing the game because when you're trying to go through the story, you can't blink. If you blink, you go forward in time and you miss out on things.
That's gonna be a problem for people that just can't help that.
So you can have something really sad going to happen and you want to do something about it, but you blink.
All I think about when I see this, I'm like, that's kind of a neat idea, but if this doesn't become a Doctor Who survival horror with the, you know, the weeping angels, then I just want that. We're just like trying to get out of a house with the angels trailer, trying not to blink. That's all you have to do.
The trailer literally like pulls at your heartstrings of one of the things that would affect most people is that you see your cat with some babies and it's just been born. Mm-hmm. But if you blink, suddenly you see it return and it's old and it's about to die. So if you blink too many times, like everybody you know that you love is gone. And I was like, this is a freaky game, but I like the concept. You don't have to use a controller. You just sit there and you just try to not to blink.
If you have allergies, this game is unplayable because you're going to be blinking and water. I'd just be like, kill everything. All right. So the games they showed, the Foglands, which is FPS against skeleton spiders and more, Green Hell, FPS survival game, Synapse, a fast FPS with telekinesis powers. This one I was kind of curious about, Journey to Foundation, which is actually based on an Isaac Asimov Foundation series. That could be kind of neat. I like Asimov. Okay. And of course, you said Before Your Eyes, which just makes me think I want a Doctor Who Weeping Angels game. Humanity was shown from the team behind Tetris Effect. This one I've heard more about, but it's just, I kid you not, this is the best way I could describe this. It's a Lemmings type game where you use a dog to control people to get them somewhere.
And there is a demo if you want to mess with your mind.
And it is PSVR 2 compatible and PSVR 1 compatible. So I might actually break mine out and play this.
It just reminded me of like Intelligent Cube mixed with Lemmings.
Oh my God. Oh, that's funny. Goodbye Volcano High coming to PS5 and PS4 on June 15th. We've talked about this one a little bit on a previous show from the Nintendo Direct where it was first shown off. It's kind of looks like a dating game with animal people. I don't know. It's colorful.
Well, the difference about this one is it's kind of trying to do, if anybody remembers the game, Guitar Man, which
I love Guitar Man.
Which you play through sequences the whole time you're actually doing rhythm. So thankfully it's not 100% visual novel, but they've peppered in the Guitar Man type stuff where you're playing through songs, and I guess if you do really well, maybe you'll get a better outcome.
Oh, that's kind of a neat idea. I may have to look into this more. I was kind of writing it off. My bad. Bad, Jeremy. All right. This one I will write off. Naruto X Boruto Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections trailer. I'm sure someone's going to like it. This ain't for me.
I enjoy the fact that whether or not you like the franchise series, what have you, I like that at least this throws it out to all those other games that make 3 or 4 versions. And this one is saying, not only are we just editing together all the cutscenes to make it one cohesive, super large story, but we're just going to give you the characters from all the games. So I was like, sweet. That's why 1, 2, 3, and 4 were like $7 on the eShop or the PSN store. It's because they were eventually going to make this edition. I would love if other fighting games that have so many, I guess, like incremental upgrades like this, that try to just meld it all together so no story is lost. So I kind of like that part. The game is a mixed bag.
It reminds me of the old Dragon Ball fighting games back on like the PS2 era where like that kept they'd release a game and cover part of the story, release another game and go a little bit further until finally at the very end before they went to like 360 and PS3, they're like, all right, we're just going to cram every fighter, every person to this one game. You can buy it. There's everything. All right, now we're going to start the whole process over and make a new game on these systems that only covers the first part of the story. And I'm like, you guys are just in a cycle. Like, come on.
I remember having one of the Naruto fighting games that had story stuff on the GameCube. And then it felt very short to me because I was like, oh, I know what happens. I know what happens next. Like, I know what happens next. But, like, that's it? That's all I get to play? I get to fight Itachi and that's it? Okay.
And this one's taking us all through Naruto, Shippuden, and Boruto. And I was like, that's a large storyline. And you're just going to give us all the cutscenes together? Thanks.
So I watched I think most of the old original one. Do you think I would actually enjoy this? I never watched any of the Boruto.
It's
strictly. Wait, did you watch Shippuden? You watched the original Naruto. You watched Shippuden.
No, I thought that was. I just watched the original one they used to.
Okay, air it. So yes. So there's Naruto. I didn't watch it
religiously.
There's and then there's Shippuden. Shippuden is after like the time skip when they're less, middle school teens and more young adults. Like,
I think I only remember them being in ninja school.
It's like middle school, high school / college is Shippuden. And
so then I haven't watched that then.
And then Boruto is I'm an adult and I have children and everything is weird. So yeah.
Okay. Well,
that's the basis of it. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I watched the original Naruto like ridiculous, like clockwork.
I just watched it if it was on.
Yeah, my friend made me watch every single episode, including the fillers of the original.
Listen, the fillers were kind of funny, and believe it or not, the movies very enjoyable.
Really,
very enjoyable.
The thing about fillers, though, is I always got annoyed when they would get up to a really good part, and then I'm like, nah, I have to watch like 4 episodes of fillers.
Well, this has been our tangent of what anime have we ever never watched. What were we going to say, Rachel? Sorry to cut you off.
God, it's really funny because most people have just played the Naruto like fighting games because that's the majority of what's out there. But like there's little weird RPGs that were on the DS
and 360,
and they were fun.
Yeah, I think he showed up in a couple other oddball fighting games I had that were both import for DS and other ones, but that I never really got any of the just mainline ones.
The problem with them now is if you buy either One Punch Man, Demon Slayer, any of the Naruto games, they all play the same way.
They all do,
except for they just have like these cinematic things for their characters. So if you don't like one of them, you're not gonna like any of them unless you have a really strong like I love this series and I want to see my character.
It's kind of weird. I was playing One Punch Man and I didn't know he could do a spirit bomb.
Yeah, it's like a reskin.
2. It's a running joke, by the way, Stephen, of me counting how many times she yawns.
I'm telling you, after 9 o'clock, the yawn counter goes way up.
You got to edit that into the.
I don't edit any of this. I just go.
On the side, you should just have like a yawn emoji that has like a number next to it.
That would be hilarious, but it would take forever. All right. And lastly, Wayfinder gameplay overview trailer. I didn't really watch too much of that, but if you're interested in it, you can go see it. All right. So now on to some kind of crappy news here. EA is up to their own shenanigans. They surprise laid off 200 Apex Legends QA testers via a mandatory Zoom call, even on people's days off. They're like, you have to be on this Zoom call, and then laid them all off. Even the managers had no idea what was going on. So the staff of the Baton Rouge, Louisiana office were laid off Tuesday, February 28th. Affected employees were given 60-day severance, but for many of these, this didn't even cover the original contract that they had agreed to work with EA, so they're still losing all this money. So they're able to cut these people's contracts short that they made the arrangement for, but EA will see no downside to this, which I think is BS. They should, if they're going to let them go, they should honor their contract.
If that's a contract, that's a legally binding document. Like,
apparently they can, they're being allowed to just lay them off.
Unless there's some kind of weird clause, but that's like a legally binded. I think depending on what the fine print is, some of them might have a leg to stand on, but I don't know.
So. I mean, it sucks these people are, because they're going to spread the QA stuff out between a bunch of other groups because they're just doing it remotely now between different development areas they have. But, you know, these people have been doing the QA testing for Apex Legends for years. Like, they were deep involved in it. They were working on a lot of the updates. So I'm curious how that's going to have an effect on the game itself or its stability. But yeah, like I said, if they had a contract and that's how long you're supposed to be working there and being paid for, they should honor that, not just be like, all right, 60 days, we're just going to cut you off early and save ourselves some money.
I almost felt like what was next when we heard about everything from Rumbleverse and all these on Babylon's Fall that just went goodbye the last few days.
Yep.
all these service games or all these free games saying like it's not sustainable for us, and we're not big enough to be sustainable because either somebody better or somebody bigger exists.
Once
So
again,
we're too niche.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
once again, why is Suicide Squad going to be a live action?
Meanwhile, Genshin Impact is just raking in the big bucks.
Yeah, I mean, you get a couple big ones, but everybody can't be that.
No,
people are just like, oh, we're all going to be Fortnite. We're all going to be this. Like, that's not how it works,
I think
man.
You just need to start as a mobile game, because once I heard Apex Mobile got canned, like they're no longer supporting it and it doesn't work.
Yeah, they just completely they didn't even develop it anymore.
I was just like, okay, so how long before like the big boys? Because nobody's announcing tournaments, nobody's announcing like esports for Apex Legends, and I was like, they're showing off some new characters. So I'm like, it's not sustainable. But these things hurt because it's hitting all of tech. Let's just be honest. It's hitting everybody tech based. It's hitting all the bigger companies, and it's bleeding into video games. You see Amazon, you see PayPal, you see Google all laying off people, and now you're just seeing it made its way now into the video game sector of things, which is unfortunate.
Well, Google made Stadia. That they brought that on themselves. It should just that was such a weird idea. So what else is a weird and stupid idea? Resident Evil 7 cloud rental service is coming to a close in Japan. Anyone that's listened to the show knows I find the whole cloud version of anything basically doesn't exist to me. You're just go watch a YouTube video of it on your Switch. It's the same thing to me. So the ability to go ahead.
It was only in Japan. Like, this service was only available in Japan, correct?
This particular rental service, but some of this was available here as well. And eventually this will happen with the games we have. So the ability to purchase a 180-day rental option ends on May 29th, 2023. Sales have already ended for this, but if you had bought a ticket before December 1st of last year, you can redeem it up to May 29th. People can purchase an unlimited access after that if they wish to continue playing it. This, of course, is only going to work as long as the servers are up. Because as soon as they end, they're gone. You don't have this game in any tangible way.
Like Stadia.
You're gonna buy unlimited access, but it's actually limited because we're shutting down the service in A.
Yeah, we're going to charge you full price for a game that if your Wi-Fi goes out, your game just stops.
But Jeremy, I have unlimited access to Google Stadia.
I did too. I still have the controller.
Fun fact about these cloud service, though, as much as people hate them, if you play Kingdom Hearts 3 cloud demo, by the time all the cutscenes are done, you can play for like a minute and a half.
That is hilarious, actually.
So it is the worst way to see if maybe I'll like this one. I don't know. I got to play it for a minute and a half.
Like you said,
bad for the people who are strictly Switch owners and they loved Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 and it played okay with the demo, and then they tried the third demo and they're like, I didn't get to play anything.
Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 should have been ported. There is no excuse why they should not have been ported. I get with 3. Okay, cool. There's a lot of stuff. I don't like it. You could have converted it. They made Witcher, for God's sakes. Witcher 3 on there. But 1 and 2, no excuse.
It was just... I don't have an explanation for this other than we need to put this game on this console, but we don't have time to actually do that. Well, let's just put it on the cloud. You know what? That sounds like a great idea. Someone in the background going, y'all, they're going to hate it. They're going to absolutely hate this. And then they go, you know what? Do it anyway. That's the story.
So kids,
it makes me uncomfortable.
If you play Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 on the Switch and you realize you've got this, but you don't actually own it, and it's going to go away one day and it's completely pointless, that's their NFT idea. That's basically the gaming version of it, I guess. You don't really get to own it. You just say you do.
Well, speaking of that, though, they're going to be switching presidents soon, Square Enix. One of them just signed off that he'll be stepping down. Another one will take his place. So fingers crossed that they'll kind of sweep all this like NFT and
I hope they do
stuff underneath.
I hope they do. I mean, remember when Wada stepped down, Jeremy? Do you remember? Do you remember how happy I was?
You were very excited.
I was sitting here like, oh my god, we can put Final Fantasy 13 in the graveyard. And we'll finally get the other game.
You were very giddy on that show, if I remember correctly.
It was anytime things just start to go wrong or just things are happening, they're just like, you know what? A president, CEO, whatever, they go, I'm a go. And then they're like, oh, yes, please do. I don't know much about this guy other than he's stepping down.
He's not involved in Final Fantasy 13. Like, I don't know.
Obviously. But it just seems like, usually when something is going on or happening that like was just not, it wasn't going the way that they thought it was going to go, that's when somebody steps down and leaves. And I can't say I'm surprised.
Yep. All right, so let's move on to happier news. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass Wave 4, that's a mouthful, has been announced and is coming out March 9th, which actually is not the only thing we're getting March 9th.
This is 6 days.
Which is great. Yeah. So we're getting 8 tracks and 1 character is returning. So I'm just going to go down the list real quick. We're getting a lot from Mario Kart Tour, but also some really good returning ones and 1 brand new course. Singapore Speedway for Mario Kart Tour, Bangkok Rush for Mario Kart Tour, which is going to make all the 10-year-olds laugh. DK Summit for Mario Kart Wii, which was an awesome course. Lots of great drifting. Amsterdam Drift from Mario Kart Tour. Now for some really good ones. Riverside Park for Mario Kart Super Circuit. Mario Circuit for Mario Kart DS.
Can I say the next one?
Yes.
Waluigi Stadium from Double Dash. I'm so excited. Double Dash is still my favorite Mario Kart game.
I have an announcement later that I'll have to bring you on, and we'll have to see if you want to argue about that one day.
It's so fun.
No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Don't worry. But also returning from Double Dash to jump ahead, Birdo is coming back. She has not been a playable character since Double Dash on the GameCube. And then lastly, the final course is Yoshi's Island, which is a brand new course that they did show previously. That was the first one. I think we talked about it on one of the earlier shows, but it looks phenomenal. Like, I'm kind of wondering like why this was not made into a course earlier.
Maybe it was supposed to be, and there was something wrong with it, and they just couldn't figure it out, and it just took them this long to work out the kinks.
Either way, it looks great. I'm excited. Steven, any thoughts on Mario Kart stuff? Is this something you play?
It's a love-hate on certain things. I love that there's more coming. I wish they didn't have the 8 next to it. Next to the title with what they're adding, because they said they're adding more characters. I half expect that when they shut down Mario Kart Tour, they'll be like, costumes are coming to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I'm just putting it out there. But it was bittersweet because like they also just turned off Mario Kart 8 for Wii U. You can no longer play that online.
Yeah, I was going to report on that. That just came up earlier. Mario Kart 8 and Splatoon 2 were shut down, or Splatoon 1. They said we're only shut down temporarily. They had to do emergency service on it, but it is coming back up. It is not a permanent shutdown.
Sure.
I'm thinking somebody found a way to crack something.
Come back up just to have everything on the shop go away at the end of the month.
I don't know. I'm hoping that at least allowed to keep playing for some of the stuff, but we'll see. So I'm looking forward to that. Like we're just now over about halfway through the course pass on this, so there's still a bunch more to come.
I'm sitting here going, oh, there's so much they could still possibly add. Like there's still so much stuff.
Yeah, we have, I think, like 16 more tracks left now to add to this, because they literally doubled the amount with this entire thing, which being part of the Nintendo Switch Online is a really good deal, because I know a lot of people that were on the family plan use that. Even if you just outright buy it for $25, that's still not bad for doubling the amount of Mario Kart, I mean,
and it gives you more places to kick your friends' butts at in Mario Kart.
Yeah, I kind of wish they'd have some more multiplayer maps. That's the only thing I kind of wish for, but I'm fine with it otherwise because I like battle mode.
Listen, they only have about 16 tracks left, and we have what, 3 more DLCs? So
and then comes the Smash bundle.
If they do 8 tracks the next one and 8 tracks the other one, on the last one, what if they just do a bunch of multiplayer crap?
Drive through Dracula's castle.
I'd be okay with that. All right, so the other thing we're getting on March 9th that's coming out is Metroid Prime Fusion, coming to Nintendo Switch Online, Game Boy Advance. So
I am sad that there's no connectivity to Metroid Prime Remastered.
I didn't think there would be, but you got my damn hopes up when you mentioned it. I was like, could they?
I only thought that because there was some users that put ROMs into Nintendo Switch Online. Don't ask me how. And they found that trading works between Red and Blue. Like,
Pokemon.
It worked. And everybody's just like, there is connectivity, so do it.
Because I don't think anyone's confirmed. I guess Metroid Prime Remastered does. I don't think anyone's seen anything of it having the fusion suit at all, which sucks because I loved how the fusion suit looked in there. It was such a cool bonus.
Because I heard from some people it was a code in the Wii versions, but I'm still waiting for somebody to confirm how to get the fusion suit.
Yeah, I think in the Wii it was like an achievement you would unlock, I believe.
Maybe it's something that people haven't gotten yet.
Maybe. I'll have to look and see. It may not even been in there. All right, so on to our last story. This was an interesting one that we started talking about a lot before the show that I wanted to kind of go into. And we're getting a little technical on the legal side here, but I haven't talked too much about the Microsoft purchase of Activision because it keeps going back and forth with everything and it changes so often that by the time we do a show, which since we do this every other week, things have completely changed. But this one, I wanted to talk about this one because Microsoft kind of got some leeway from one of the judges from the FTC, and it's caused some issues for Sony here. So the Federal Trade Commission Chief Administrative Judge D. Michael Chappelle has tossed out most of Sony's complaints in regards to Microsoft's $69 billion purchase of Activision Blizzard, which means that Sony will have to enter into public record a number of, quote, relevant documents. And while that doesn't sound really exciting and some of this might be kind of dry, here's the gist of it, and I'll go through this. This will allow Microsoft to disclose the agreements that Sony has made with third parties to restrict the release of titles onto Microsoft systems or services in exchange for payments. They're limited to agreements and documents going back to January 1st, 2019. That's still a good bit of time to show why many titles like Final Fantasy XVI, Silent Hill, and more are not coming to Xbox in any way, and a number of other titles getting exclusive bonus content that Xbox users are still paying the full cost for, but not being allowed to have, like Spider-Man and Avengers, as one example. There's been a couple of them. So the FTC stated, quote, Microsoft argues that the complaint in this case makes a number of allegations regarding high-performance video game console developers, which is a weird way of saying Sony, exclusivity arrangements with video game publishers. I think I read that wrong. Yeah, Microsoft argues the complaint. I've got a microphone on my face here. Microsoft argues that the complaint in this case makes a number of allegations regarding high-performance video game console developers, exclusivity arrangements with video game publishers. Microsoft states it is aware that SIE requires third-party publishers to agree to exclusivity provisions, including preventing the publishers from putting their game on Xbox multi-game subscription service, and that understanding the full extent of SIE's or Sony International Entertainment's exclusivity arrangements and their effect on industry competitiveness will assist in its defense. I also don't blame you on that yawn there because that was boring as crap. And then the last part before we talk about it, Judge Chappelle added, quote, the nature and extent of Sony's content licensing agreements are relevant to the complaints allegations of exclusivity arrangements between video game console developers and video game developers and publishers. Okay, I swear to God, I'm going to stop with the quotes there. So the gist of this is Sony's going to have to show their hand on a lot of these deals they've been making, which part of it's because kind of Sony's fault because they've been kind of claiming victim recently, saying that, if they get Call of Duty or if they make this purchase, we won't be able to, do our deals and operate. And I don't know. There's a lot of other stuff here, but go ahead and start
on
off.
Microsoft's side. It's a good power play only because of the fact that while this probably won't have any effect on their sales whatsoever for Sony, I do feel it's going to vastly affect agreements with other companies, because now it's going to be put out there that they don't have to go to a meeting and kind of negotiate. They can just say, well, you disclose that you gave this much for this type of game. We have this type of game. If you can't give us that same deal, we'll go into Xbox. So I feel it's going to hurt them in the long run unless they, I don't know how they can come out of this on top other than if this doesn't go through. But even in the UK, they said everything looks good for Microsoft.
Yeah, that was the other part that recently got announced. The UK is pretty much signing off on the agreement because, they were like, hey, we have this 10-year deal with Call of Duty that, we've already signed it with Nintendo. We've got it ready. We were going to have Valve sign it, but they said they weren't going to worry about signing it. They were cool with it. And that they were going to have these come out, and that they even had the paperwork. One guy, I guess, this is completely just a marketing ploy, but he was carrying around the paperwork for Sony to sign to make the same agreement, like saying, here it is, we're ready for it. That's 2 on you. I'm sure I'm going to yawn eventually too. At that point, it would be kind of funny to just edit in a counter.
All this legalese. Okay.
Yeah, this is where, we're going to put you to sleep during the show. The biggest thing that I'm noticing from this, though, is that Sony was kind of found that they were sending their representatives to other countries, including the UK and a few other places, to talk with their trade commissions and groups about this. And they were coming back with kind of agreements made, things being said, and then Microsoft would go and try and talk to them. And some of them weren't even speaking to them. Even the FTC did this, where they were making judgments before they ever even talked to Microsoft, but they had meetings with Sony. All of that will be viewable now because they're going to be getting vice president executives' emails, stuff from former employees, their like some of their contract agreements, things like that. Anything after that January 1st, 2019 date is valid for them to do. And if this gets shown in court, that becomes a matter of public record. So yeah, it's going to be really hard for Sony to come out of this without some shit on their shoes. Let's just say it that way. They're not going to walk out of this clean. And a lot of people are wanting to see it just for the fact that, like, we get affected by how exclusives work on any direction whatsoever. And I know people get snarky about it. And I saw one comment of someone talking about, like, oh, are they going to question why Nintendo doesn't put Mario and all that on there? And I'm like, okay, that's not what this is about. No, Microsoft's not questioning, going, like, why don't we get The Last of Us? We know why. Sony made it. That's their game, So go ahead. You want to say something, Rachel?
Well, it's just really funny because to me, all this says, if Sony had just left well enough alone, this wouldn't be happening.
Yeah. And they were, Microsoft warned them about this before. And they said, if we go to this, I think they called it the nuclear option, that they will do this. And Sony thought they wouldn't. And the judge ruled in Microsoft's favor. So
they whiny babied too hard. And I was like, Sony, guys, you're doing such a great job. Look, your console's doing well. You're out of your shortage. You're doing your thing. Why you gotta do this? Calm down. But
the thing we got to remember about video game mergers is that just let it happen. It's part of what happens. Why go after Microsoft purchasing one company that also merged? So they're merging with a merged company.
You, they just got mad, and that they maybe they were thinking about purchasing it, and Microsoft beat them to it, and then they threw a fit, and this is what happened. So
like, are they scared it's going to be another Embracer Group or NetEase where they're poaching people from Sega? They're buying people.
Well,
they're buying all these IPs.
Embracer Group is the one that's really dangerous.
Listen,
exactly.
I don't. What's the word? Conglomerate. Conglomerates are dangerous. We all know that. That's why the FTC doesn't let them happen once they get too big. Like,
you hope they would.
For the most part, they do stop it before they happen. Like, there was two big publishing companies, like book publishing companies, that were going to merge, and they were like, no, no thanks. No thanks. There was 2 big cable companies that were going to merge. That didn't happen. Nope. 2 conglomerate. The only well, I guess the only company that they haven't stopped is about 45 minutes from my house. So, which I think is really, really amusing. But
so the main thing this comes down to, a lot of people argue with the whole point of exclusivity. And I get that happens sometimes. Like, certain arrangements are made. Like I understand why Spider-Man was exclusive to PS5 and PS4.
Yeah, because
Microsoft turned it down. No, it's not even that. Sony does not own it.
Well,
Sony owns movie rights, but they don't own anything for comics, games, any of that. That's why, because otherwise Spider-Man wouldn't have been allowed in Ultimate Alliance 3 on the Switch. But he was.
Well, it's they own the rights to the movie version of Spider-Man. So anything based off of the movies that have come out can only that's the exclusivity thing. But if it's anything else,
this game was not based on the movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm sure they would love to try and argue that with the upcoming film, since he makes a weird cameo appearance walking by. But I thought it was a fun little joke, reference in there. Of course, the suit already showed up in Spider-Verse, the first one, anyways.
Yep.
Such a good movie.
I wanna be excited for the new Spider-Man game, by the way, just as a sidebar. But if they use that new face model, I'm going to gag. Like, I want an option to keep the previous one. Like,
you don't like deep fake Doogie Howser?
No, it looks like they try to put
It's Scott the Woz. It's Scott the Woz.
No, it's not.
Hey y'all, Spider-Man here.
Like, he looks like a literal child. Like, Peter Parker's not a child.
They overdid it with the de-aging.
It's kind of like the Dead Space remake where Isaac found a shower and he found like a comb, so now he looks like an insurance salesman and not Isaac Clarke.
It's just
the funny thing is the face they used for that is the actual voice actor. That's his actual face and look, which is cool because he didn't even do that in the first game.
As cool as that is,
yeah,
I don't like it. Wait a minute, hold on. No, hold on. Am I
talking
wrong?
about Dead Space, not Spider-Man.
Oh, I was about to say, I'm like, that is not, doesn't even look like Yuri Lowenthal. I'll fight you.
No. I was referencing Dead Space on that.
That's why I was like,
I don't see why they need to do that. Why they need to take the extra time to be like, because unless you added lines, maybe. I was like, what's the point of changing the models?
There was no point. What? They were just experimenting with new tech. Like,
okay, now you're talking Spider-Man again. Well, I've really got myself.
No, it applies to both things. Yeah. You don't want to see a new face with the same voice.
Dead Space
takes you out of it.
Well, see, Dead Space in the first one, he didn't talk. There were no lines. But the guy that did 2 and 3 is who they brought to do all the lines in 1. Wrote the dialogue now where instead of him just being talked at and reacting, he actually converses and acts like an engineer. So when his helmet would come off for those scenes, they went ahead and put the guy's face that's doing the voice as the face. That sounds like a
George Lucas thing.
Well, I mean, I like it. I like the changes they made because he doesn't feel like he's just being talked at. He actually responds and does stuff now. I thought it was a good change.
But here's
the face for Spider-Man was weird.
Well, one of the reasons they gave for it is they wanted it to look more realistic and the facial mapping to be more accurate or something like that. And I literally was like,
the old one looked good.
And I was like, the old one looked perfectly fine. Now, whenever I watch it, I get this stupid uncanny valley feeling that makes the hair on my neck stand up. And it makes me physically uncomfortable. When I saw the new model, literally, a friend of mine messaged me, was like, what do you think? And I'm like, I want to gag. And they were like, I don't think I've ever seen you so disgusted over a character model. And I'm like,
I don't think it's that bad because he puts the mask on pretty quick, but yeah, I see.
But it takes me completely out of the experience. I'm like, you get Yuri Lowenthal, Sasuke, coming out of a child's mouth. Like,
takes his mask off, like, MJ, run.
And I'm like,
terrifying.
I'm like, oh, good Lord. It's like watching a train wreck. But I don't know.
Yeah. People make weird changes for some games. I never understood it.
So I do hope, because it wasn't just me. There was a lot of backlash on it. There was tons. So
I remember it.
I'm hoping that they, in this next one, that they're just like, you know what? Let's just give them two options. They can switch between the two. It's not that hard.
I love how we went from
other games could blame the Unreal Engine back when they on PS4 and Xbox One, when they were like, "Oh, we're bringing Arkham back for remastered. It's just darker and ruined now because we didn't know that the new Unreal Engine was going to do that." But Spider-Man doesn't have that luxury. They have literally a person saying, "We did this because." Like, no, nobody else would.
It's like, okay, you did this because, well, guess what? You're wrong.
Please put in a toggle so we can go back to classic mode. Thank you.
Oh yeah, that's why when I put in my copy, my I didn't get Spider-Man on the PS5. I just put in my PS4 copy and played
Spider-Man PS5 does have some, even with the face changed, it's still worth it to me for all the extra stuff they added. How it runs, the ray trace reflections are really good for that one.
I'm sure it's great, but I don't want to look at that stupid face.
You only look at it for like a minute. Like most of the time, it's your Spider-Man. He just has a mask on and nothing's changed. But
it's probably more than 50.
And then when you're playing it, you're like, "Oh, I'm getting up to the Doc Ock scene. Now I have to see that ugly
face. I have to see this ugly mug." Yeah.
I love how we got on a tangent to go to Spider-Man's face when we were talking about a legal battle between two companies.
We didn't want to talk about it anymore.
It should be a legal battle for the custody of Spider-Man's face.
We call it The Stand, the ghost of Stan Lee. Oh, man. So, real quick to finish this off, Rachel, you go first, and then Stephen, I'll ask you. If this happens, if this information comes out, what do you think the public view for Sony with their potential actions is going to end up being?
I think people are still going to like what they're going to like and play what they're going to play, but they're going to be like, why did you do that? Like, literally, it's going to be like, most people, at least I think most intelligent people, are going to be like, you shot yourself in the foot. Like, like that's your own problem.
Oh man.
So I don't know. I don't think there's going to be, people are going to be like, oh man, so many people are going to move over to Xbox. I'm like, no, they're not. They already own a PS5. They're not going to go out and sell it just because they're like, oh, I don't like this company anymore. God, if everyone did that, no one would like have any fun anywhere because they couldn't shop anywhere. Like, I've said it once, I'll say it again. It's a very similar argument to some other stuff that's going on in the world. And it's like, moral purchasing is almost impossible.
True.
So, and that's this kind of argument where it's like, okay, so they did wrong and we're going to find out some stuff about Sony that we probably don't want to find out. All right. We found out a lot of things about people and companies that we haven't wanted to ever find out. So what's new? We're kind of, I think, really all, we're all a little jaded.
Steven, what's your thoughts?
So I have 2 points about the whole thing. It kind of encapsulates it for you.
Uh-huh.
First off is, much like the world of politics, there is no changing somebody's mind. And if you do, that's a diamond in the rough. So if I'm insulting the groups out there, I'm sorry, but the X-Bros and the Sony ponies are not going to change their mind.
Nope.
Oh yeah, both sides have got shitty people. Both sides of it do.
They are still going to buy it. Like Rachel said, nothing changes there. The only thing that's going to change, and this goes now to the world of sports, is like when you have a star athlete of a team you like who has a bad day, you don't forget it as a fan. And you make sure that athlete doesn't forget it to tease them.
Oh, they're gonna get absolutely made fun of forever until Microsoft does something even more heinous.
All this is going to do for all the PlayStation users, they're still going to fully support Sony, but they're going to be like, "Come on, Sony, don't pay $18 million like you did for that game," or they're going to say, "Don't give me an exclusive quest when you gave this company something better." They're going to throw shade at, in the comments, not getting anything out of it, just just to say that, oh, I showed Sony, I made fun of them, I threw them an insult or something.
You know
like
what this basically does? It just made Sony more bullyable.
Honest, the way I look at it, this is just going to fuel, like you said, the Sony ponies and the Xbots and all the crap they go into. It's just going to fuel that war for a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm looking forward to the information because I want to know what's going on. We'll report on it, talk about it. But some people are going to use that and just tribalistically use these arguments either in support of it, going like, "Oh, well, they were doing so good because they could pay that out and do it. They were doing what they had to do to stop the competition."
Grab the popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to fight back and forth. Some of us are going to look at it and, I'll be like, good Lord, that was stupid or whatever. But some people are going to get so crazy about this.
Yeah, because I'm just going to pop a full bucket and just watch the comment threads of people saying, well, Microsoft this, well, Sony this. And I was like, this is not as good as the Nintendo Sega days at all, but I'll take it.
I wanted to bring that up too, because people were just like, oh, that's, how this is going to affect it. Nintendo used to have a similar, almost even more draconian setup with their publishers where they would make the arrangement. Oh, you want to publish on our system? You're not allowed to put that game on another system. You're only allowed to publish this many a year. Like I'm not saying that's what Sony's is going to be, but they would be that controlling. And if it comes out that that's what it is, some publishers may be more hesitant to work with them on that, or go, hey, we've seen what you did. That's the deal we don't want. And their legal is going to work into it.
Basically.
Yeah.
Business is going to change. It's funny you should mention like the draconian ways too, because back in the days when it was the whole ESRB court case, Nintendo threw Sega under the bus, saying, "Look at all these bloody and gruesome and sexual games they're making and everything. They're gonna like ruin all the children across the United States. So you better come up with something that'll fix this because we're doing great. All our stuff is friendly." So
now order all the remakes of those, the re-releases we put on the Switch.
Now Nintendo has absolutely no filter. If you look hard enough, you can find any game you want that looks like it should be on a Steam age restricted page. While Sony is just like, we don't allow this, we don't allow that. So it's like how far we've come where certain companies are changing their tune. But yeah, overall, like I don't see this is going to do anything except for just give the haters and the lovers ammunition and make for some really crazy spins on things.
And some real quality internet entertainment.
Exactly. Like I remember, speaking of Spider-Man's face, I remember when all the Sony users were so pissed at the remastered because they took out reflections from puddles.
That was the dumbest. Oh my God, that was so stupid. And what's crazy is if you actually play it, like I was blown away. I was playing Miles Morales I got Miles Morales, but I was also playing the remaster of Spider-Man. Had the ray tracing on, and the first time I was sitting there and saw the reflection and saw an enemy coming up from behind me from the reflection, I was like, oh shit, this works. Like this is actually kind of cool. Like that added a new layer to it, and I had fun with it with photography and so forth. I wasn't sitting there going like, well, that one puddle could be a little bigger. Like,
there's not enough puddles.
Is there enough puddles? Like, the weather changes, you idiots. But all right. Well, I think that was a fun discussion, and we're actually wrapping up around the 2-hour mark. So, hey, not bad. So one thing I was going to mention earlier, I wanted to work on a series. We have the extra quarter episodes that we do on occasion where Steven was on the last one with me, where we talked about the last Nintendo Direct and went into it because that was basically an entire show.
2 hours.
But one that I wanted to have, this came up. I was talking with one of my best friends, Brent, or Insomniac. And, we were talking about the Metroid Prime Remastered. We're talking about some of the, Zelda games that are coming out. We started talking about our favorite ones and least favorite ones. And I was like, it'd be great. Get groups together for an extra quarter episode where we just take a series, be it either all the games in something, or if we really want to cause some crap, all of these particular consoles, rank them, each person individually rank them from your most hated to your favorite, and then get everyone together and start at the worst and start working our way up to what our favorites are in a friendly-ish type of way. Fun arguments would be great, but Rachel, you better be on the Final Fantasy one.
Oh, yes.
Because I know what you would bring to that.
I'll make enemies on that one.
Yes.
I'm sure we will. I'm going to be the man of chaos there because I am just not the biggest Final Fantasy guy.
I have some interesting loves and some interesting, like, I've never played that.
Right. But I want to do a series of the extra quarters where we get together and do that, because I think it'd be fun. You know, these aren't like, oh, we're going to rank these from the best to worst. It's just, it's fun to make these lists and do these things.
That's dangerous.
I know, but it could be fun.
Best to worst and stuff. That's dangerous.
Now I'm doing worst to best. Like, start off with the one you hate the most.
All of those are subjective. So
I know, that's the thing. I'm not judging or saying this is the definitive list, and people are going to disagree. That's half the fun. But I want to get people together that do it. Like, you know, I'm gonna have to bring Brent on here for sure for like Transformers or Ninja Turtles. And then we've got some of the other guys like Shellshock Prime, which is a friend of the show who's also on our Discord server. He's already said he wants to do Ninja Turtles. Like, he's like, immediately I sent him the list. He's like, I gotta do Ninja Turtles. That's great. I'm gonna try and get Joey on for Mega Man.
Oh God!
And Final Fantasy.
Literally, just redeem Twitch channel points for Joey Explains and just let him go.
If you're doing Mega Man, I have to 1,000% make sure that Chris is on that one, because
yes,
he's
because I think those are fun, and I think that would be, they're not normal shows. We can record them whenever and put them out as we go. It's just little bonuses, and I've been trying to find something more consistent with the extra quarters to do those. So I wanted to put out an invitation to the both of you and anyone else listening, if we want to do this, just to let me know, and we'll work out these. I'll send you guys pictures of the list I've done so far. I'm sure we can argue about some
top 5 Spider-Man faces. Okay.
We could technically do that. There's been a lot of them. I'm going to go with the PlayStation 1 version, the big blocky. Oh, perfect. Lord. Yes, it's just beautiful. Perfection. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap this up. Rachel, we will start with you. Where can we find you on the internet?
Oh my goodness. Well, usually on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/outrageous. That's OUTRACHEOUS. Or on Instagram and Twitter. Same handle, but there's a underscore between the out and the rageous. I haven't been doing as much on Twitch lately because I've just been so tired and focused and trying to just enjoy something to enjoy it instead of streaming it. Even though
Welcome
I said I was
adulthood.
Even though I was going to stream the heck out of it. But hopefully when I move into my new house and I have all my consoles on one desk where I can just plug and play, hook up things with relative ease that don't involve me setting up a crazy backdrop or anything like that. Hopefully I will be streaming more with some more variety at that point. But usually now I'm just posting about once a week, whatever cosplay content I have or any crafting content I have. But yeah, that's where you can find me. I wish I was more active doing things, but I'm getting back there slowly. Adulting is hard.
It's very hard.
Oh yeah.
All right. Steven, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me as a lurker with an opinion on Twitter @loading_time. If you look on my page, you'll just see where I kind of interjected with something I wanted to share with people. But other than that, I feel I have a lot more to share when I'm on a podcast like this.
And it's been a lot of fun having you on there. I think we pretty much mentioned this before, but like you and Chris are going to be more permanently on the show moving forward for a while, which is great. So when be seeing you guys definitely a lot more. Rachel, when we can, because I know you have fun times with what you have to do. Joey, I don't know if he's still alive. I haven't seen him in a while. Want him back on here? We'll get him back on eventually.
He's been very focused with his own stuff.
He is, which you should go check out at Cerulean Skies.
Yes.
It's actually some cool content. They do a lot of streaming stuff. So, all right. Well, I've been your host, Jeremy Powers. You can find me on Twitter at Zenspath, ZENSPATH. We used to have the Zenspath pod, but Twitter still has it banned. Like, thanks, guys. I put those on cards and you banned it and never told me why. Twitter sucks. But you can also find me over at Instagram at ZenspathCOM, which I've been posting some pictures of these Mario toys and other parts of my collection for fun. You can find the video version of this show and my other content that I record over at youtube.com/ZenspathCom. It's basically Zenspath.com without the period. And then, of course, if you're watching this and you want to listen to the show, you can find us over at Apple Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you get your podcast downloaded, or Zenspath.libsyn, Libsyn.com. And then lastly, because I haven't talked about this in a while, go to bit.ly/Zenspath Discord to join our Discord. It's a small one. We like to talk and chat with people and share stupid memes, which is still probably the most used channel in the entire thing. Rachel, good job on that suggestion.
You're welcome.
It's been my favorite stupid thing.
I'm glad to introduce the power of memes to everybody.
Yeah, I shared a pretty good one earlier that I got a nice laugh out of. Basically with a snail going up a wall very slowly and just says parkour. It's the dumbest thing ever, but made me laugh.
Listen, it's good. It's good.
All right. Well, this has been episode 83 of the Zenspath 4-Button Podcast, and we're out. Peace.
See you next time.
I don't have a joke saved, so I'm just going to say something.